Hello, geometry. Today we're going to be talking about probability of an event. I'm currently the process of grading everything. There's a lot of grading that needs to be done for this week. Remember, this is the last week before the spring break. So before you guys start on the break, what I'm planning to do is make sure you guys finalize all the grades and things like that. Whatever the missing assignment that you guys have, and please, for the quiz or the test I give you, make sure that you guys submit it on time if I give it to you guys during this week. I will take points off if it's late. The first time last week, I'm not planning to do so, but for this particular case, for this week, you guys will definitely have penalty coming up. For today, we're gonna keep it very relatively brief. I mean, it's Monday, and usually what we do on Monday is that we just go over the tests that we took on Fridays and things like that. But I am still gonna teach you guys something new, and the grade for the test will be uploaded as soon as possible. During this period for the next 40 minutes, what I need you to do is I need you to just understand how to do probability of an event and do a couple of questions regarding that, and then you guys should be all good with today's work. So for today, what I would like you to do is I would like you to try looking at these two problems. Okay, Ellie spins the spinner, and draws one card without looking. She gets a 3 on the spinner and the 3 card. Then she sets the card aside, spins again, and draws another card. Okay, so the first question here, it asks you for, is it possible for Allie to get a 3 on her second spin, on her second card? Explain. So what we want to take a look at here is we're talking about a spinner and we're talking about picking a card. She gets a 3 on the spinner. Okay, so she gets a 3 and the 3 card, like this. Then she sets the card aside, spins again, and draws another card. Is it possible for Ella to get a 3 on her second spin, on her second card? Explain. So, for the spinner, let's say that you spin and then you got a 3 first. Is it possible for you to get a spinner to have 3 once again on the second time? For the spinner, you guys should say, yes, that's possible because you do not take the 3 out. It's a circle, and the spinner can go anywhere as long as it's within these boundaries, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for the card, you would have to say no, because it says she gets the 3 card, then she sets the card aside. That means the 3 is excluded from the group, and when you choose it the second time around, the only card that's available for you to pick is 1, 2, and 4. So you cannot pick a 3 card on the second time because it's been excluded. So that's what it means if it's excluded and a card aside. It means excluded and you cannot pick the card once again. Now, on the second question, how does the getting a 3 on her card on her first draw affect the probability of getting a 2 on her second draw? Okay, explain. So I would like you to think about this question, maybe pause for the video for a bit. First, think about the probability of getting a 4. So when we usually write probability, we write it as a probability function p of x. And so what's the probability of you getting x event, that's the card being a 3 on the first draw? Well, on the first draw means I have 4. So the probability of you choosing 3 out of these 1, 2, 3, 4 cards would be 1 out of 4. Pretty simple. Now it says, how does that affect the probability of getting 2 on her second draw? Well, the probability of you getting the 2 on the second draw would be that if this was excluded from the group, then the only selection that you have left over would be 3. 1, 2, 3. So out of these 3, how many are you picking? Well, just one of them. So it's 1 out of 3. So how does it impact your probability? Well, it impacts the probability in such a way that it increases from before. So this was 0.25 and this is 0.33. Notice how about 10% increase in the probability that you're trying to get. Now here on the spinner, the probability you're getting a 3 is 1 out of 4, right? That's 1 out of, if you spin it and just get a 3, that's one number out of these 4 numbers. Then the probability you're getting a 2 on the second time would still be 1 out of 4. It will not change whatsoever. Why? Because it hasn't been excluded. It hasn't been cast aside. It hasn't been done any of that. So it hasn't been excluded, so your probability remains the same. Okay, makes sense? All right, so let's take a look at some of these numbers here. These probabilities here. You roll a standard number cube once. Let E represent the event, roll an even number. Let T represent the event, roll a 3 or a 5. So standard number cube means 1 through 6. You know one of those die that you have for Monopoly? That's a standard number cube. So you just think about that. Okay? Now, I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to think about these 3 problems and then check your answers after some moment and play it again once you're ready. Okay, so start to pause the video now. Okay, now since you played it, I am assuming that you guys have done these questions to your best of abilities, and we're going to go over the answers. What is the probability that you roll an even number or roll a 3 or a 5? Now, here's a new word that we haven't encountered before, but what we're going to do is we're going to find out how to do these questions if we have an or, and what is the probability that you do not? Like these are the words that were magic words that you want to be watching out for. Okay. Now, rolling an even number means it's one. I'm sorry, that was bad. 2, 4, and 6, right? Now, roll 3 or 5 means any one of these two would be good. Now, the total possible situation you're going to have is 6 because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total possible outcomes. But how many of these 6 possible outcomes do you need? Or out of these 6 outcomes, what is the designated event that you wish to have? Well, the probability you roll an even number or roll 3 or 5 means, or I would like you to simply just think about adding them together, like add them together. So the fact that you're going to get these 3 of them, even number, or 3 or 5, means that you can just put them all together and say that this is a total of 5 possible different events that you wish to have because either or would do. Either or would be fine. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, except for 1, everything will be fine. What is the probability you roll an even number and a 3 or 5? So this is a different question because it's an and situation. Now, if you were to think of an and, I need you to think of maybe multiplying, but that's for operations. But what's more importantly is that what's in common? What's common between those two? So when we're talking about you roll an even number and a 3 or 5, it means what do we share in common between these two if they were Venn diagrams? This is the and situation. So the probability that you roll an even number, which is 2, 4, and 6, and also simultaneously it happens to be 3 or 5, well, how many of them? Well, these both are odd numbers. That means that simultaneously both of them cannot happen, at the same time. So what you say is 0 out of 6 because there are no numbers. There's simply no numbers in the middle ground that's both even and odd. What is the probability you do not roll an even number? Okay, so let's think about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not an even number means odd numbers, right? That's 1, 3, and 5. This means literally that I'm wishing to find out 3 out of those possible 6 outcomes. That's simply 1/2, and that should be the final answer. Okay. All right, so for this one, I would like you to try this on your own. A box contains 100 balls. 30 of the balls are purple and 10 are orange. If you select one of the balls at random, what is the probability that each of the following what is the probability of each of the following events? The ball is purple or orange. The ball is not purple and not orange. Okay, all right, that seems a little confusing, but here again, pause the video and let me know how it goes. Okay, so for the last part of this video, I'm going to go over this, and then I would like you to try on the probability of events. The main idea here, your notes should contain probability of events on somewhere on top of the paper. The ball is purple or orange. Okay, so 30 of the balls are purple, 10 are orange, right? That means the rest of them, that's 60 of them, because there's a total of 100 balls, right? Well, I don't know what colors they are, but I know for a fact that they're not going to be purple nor orange. The ball is purple or orange means that I simply have to add them together, which means that's 40 possible outcomes out of 100, because you're picking out of a box that contains 100 balls. That's simply 40%. The ball is not purple and not orange. Simultaneously, they're not neither of those two things. Well, what about these guys right here? These balls are not orange, I mean, not purple, nor not orange at the same time, right? So that's actually this number that they're looking for. So that is 60%. Okay. All right. Hope this video gave you some insights as to do how to do probability of events. I'm sure that when you guys take a look at the questions, they're not going to be that many. Starting from this point onwards, that what I need you guys to understand that NJSLA at this point is canceled, and that we are going to come back in school around May. If any situation gets worse, then we might have to prolong this until June. But for the entire month of April, because a lot of experts are expecting to say that the peak will arrive in April, we're not going to be meeting for at least a good month or so. And since the NJSLA is canceled and we have a really long time to do this remote learning, we're going to do bits by bits, pieces by pieces, and little things at a time. So when you guys doing these classwork and videos, they're most likely going to be about now 10 minutes long, and you guys are going to only be doing about 5 problems per day, and that's going to be it for homework. Okay, but make sure that please do not send me Google Docs or anything like that. Everything has to be done on paper, and you need to upload the file to me before the designated due time. Okay, that's the only thing I ask of you, guys. I need you guys to stay safe out there. Quarantine yourself if you ever get sick. Your parents might know a lot better, but try to wear protective masks and gloves, and also, wash your hands daily. Use the sanitizers if you have one, and please be safe out there. Have a good day.